going to create a forecast for a new customer. So we will click on a plus here and the plus here and add customer X. Then we click create and add. Here we can then define a license type for this customer X. So we will choose upfront and maintenance. We can then choose from which month that we will have the upfront cost. So let's say 2021-05, May. We can then estimate an amount for this license. So let's say 50K. Then we will also type in a maintenance percentage. So let's say 15%. Now we see that we will get a final revenue of 57,500 on a yearly basis in this case. In this example, we see a budget of income per employee. And this is based on the same setup as we have when we make a budget for the cost per employee. So if we start with looking into the HR admin, the yellow tab defines the income perspective of this. So here we can then set up an estimated price per hour and hours per month for the different categories that we have. So in this example, we have one category called junior consultant and one senior consultant. If we go back to the overview again and then into a staff registry instead, let's say Stockholm office, we can then calculate the income per employee. So if we have a look at Sophia here, we see that the work hours is 168 in January, for example. We can then estimate that utilization percentage, in this case 75%, which then gives us a billable hour of 126 in January. We get the price per hour from what we set up in the HR admin, which in this case is 12.50. And thereafter we can then calculate the invoiced amount for January. Since we also have set up everything that is cost related in this setup, we also get the cost per month for Sophia. So thereafter we can also then calculate the net income for Sophia, but also for each of the other employees. And up here we can also then of course see a total. This is an example of a membership revenue budget. However, this is applicable for any type of customer-based revenue budget. In this example, we are looking at a gym chain. So we will have a look at the fitness center in Stockholm. And in here, we first of all see the ingoing customer base from previous year. And we here see the new members that we acquired last year, each month. Here we can make a forecast of how many members we will acquire the coming year. Either we can choose to copy the actual data, or we can of course type in, for example, 500 members, and then we can allocate it or distribute it as actuals. Then it will have the same fluctuations for each month. Here we see the actual churn last year. And here we can make a forecast of the churn, and it works the same way. We can either copy the churn from last year or create a new one. Let's say we say 3% and then we want to distribute it as the actuals. As you can see here, we get a membership forecast, and here we can then also estimate average revenue per member. If we open up Wholesale Norden Sweden, we will here see a template where we can make a sales budget. In this template, Carl can see all the products grouped by different product groups. So if we open up skis, he will see different underlying groups. He can thereafter open up Alpine and see other underlying groups, and then he can open up the slalom group and he will see the different products. If we click on one of the products, for example carving beginner, he will see the months below. Here the columns called forecast are, as we call it, reference data. So here in this case we visualize the previous forecast, but it's of course possible to visualize actuals from last year or actuals from 2 years ago. And there's no limitations in how many columns that's possible to have with reference data. In the blue columns, we can make our input. So in this case, here Carl can make his budget. Since we have a lot of product groups and products, and also different months in this case, this enables Carl to make input on different type of levels. So let's say, for example, that he wants to create a budget for the Carving Beginner skis, since there is going to be a marketing campaign during the year for the Carving Beginner skis. So he estimates that the volume budget will increase quite a lot compared to the volume forecast. So he will estimate a budget of 500 in volume. Now, Carl can click on this icon here in order to choose how he wishes to allocate these 500 on the different months. So in this case, he will choose volume forecast. This means that these 500 are being allocated after the same fluctuations as we had in the volume forecast. Now, Carl can choose to lock these 500. They are no longer editable, but all the other products as well as the product groups are still editable, which enables Carl to make a budget on a more higher level on the other products. So in this case, for example, Carl can drag and drop the volume forecast on the total and increase it with 10%. When I click enter now, the total will be increased by 10% versus the volume forecast, allocated after the volume forecast, but the 500 are remained the same since we locked them. So this function enables Carl to work both on a detailed level as well as on a total level. If Carl wants to have the same price in the budget as in the forecast, he can simply drag and drop the price forecast into the price budget. And if he wants to use the same margin, he can do the same. Now, as you can see, we have a total sales budget of 17 million and a margin budget of 5 million.